Now, Phil Egan is with us. Phil, good morning to you.
Morning. How are you doing?
Should we talk about the Republic of Ireland first, right? So, Katie McCabe answered the question that Aisling asked her earlier on about what the plan was, not to get beaten.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to have that mindset when it's like, don't get beaten, don't lose, don't lose, don't lose. It's like, don't press the button. Don't press the big flashing red button. Don't press it, don't press it. Ow!
Yeah. Don't say the F word on air. Don't say the No, do you know what though? Sometimes what people say and what they think is different in terms of what is Vera Pauw saying to the players. But Vera Pauw is always quite honest about this kind of thing where...
Yeah, I'd say she's saying don't get beat.
Yeah, but I also think as well it's like the Sweden game isn't going to decide if we get a playoff place. I think things worked out nicely for us on Friday that Finland drew with Slovakia like we did in Tala. So the way it's set up now, Sweden just need a draw tonight and they're through. They've only one game left. Now we have to hope that they're switched on for that final game because it's against Finland, and the last round of games Sweden play Finland and we're away to Slovakia, and we've obviously seen how tough that Slovakia game could be because they were better than us in Tala for large spells of the game. So I think tonight it's a case of you just want to make sure that all the work that we've done under Vera Pauw, so this is her 20th game. Now, she actually complained about the fact that we've only played 20 games. We should have played a lot more. As she said, Sweden have probably played twice as many because that's just the way things are at the moment, that there's an imbalance and the best teams seem to be getting more. So that's why things like the Pinatar Cup were so important to Vera Pauw, that you could look at other players. But if we were to lose tonight, it's all really about that Finland game in Tala later in the campaign. We've obviously beaten them away, and Tala has been quite a good ground for us. I know Sweden won there, but it's about tonight is just about, all that stuff we've done against all those top teams that we played where, there was games where we lost quite heavily, but Vera Pauw was like, no, keep playing the best. Eventually you will get closer to the best. And you just hope that we go out. Obviously there's going to be maybe one change in defence. I'd imagine she'll stick with three at the back. That's the system that she prefers. And you just got to keep a solid shape and make things hard for Sweden. And I think the players actually will love the fact that there's going to be almost 15,000 there, because the Irish players are getting used to playing in front of bigger crowds now, and why wouldn't you relish that? Playing the best team in Europe, so they're ranked number 2 in the world, so by that logic they are the best team in Europe, in their own backyard. There's going to be a party atmosphere. They all expect to turn up and they'll get the job done, they'll win, and they'll be off to the World Cup next year with a game to spare, and happy days for them. So what a challenge that is for us. It's just a case of saying you've got to start well, and as the longer the game goes on at 0-0, then obviously the more twitchy they become, the more frustrated. It was interesting to hear that they think we're quite a physical team, which I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, we're a tough team, but I don't think we're over physical.
No. I mean, everybody can... Okay, we should probably get less offended by the pigeonholing that has happened to Irish football, but maybe it's the type of thing that we need to start throwing the shackles off. Let's go to the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Do Chelsea have any chance tonight? Or rather, how do they fix what went horribly wrong for them in the first leg and try and rescue the scenario tonight?
I think just the team selection really baffled me last week. Remember we sat in here last week and we talked ahead of the game, and I talked about how good and maybe underrated Kovacic is, and he left him out. He played Jorginho. I could see what he was trying to do, because obviously you've Conte in there, who at times is like having 2 players in there. But I think that the surprise then was that he played Azpilicueta as a left wing back. Whether people like Marcos Alonso as in terms of what he does when he's going back towards his own goal, but he's a natural left-footed player, and it was quite noticeable last week that any time Azpilicueta got on the ball as a left wing back, he wasn't comfortable going on the outside, so he'd check and he'd have to come back inside, and it'd slow things down. Alonso obviously came in against Southampton and scored the opening goal, so I think he'll start. Azpilicueta has travelled. He missed that Southampton game because of COVID, but he's returned negative tests. He's travelled. If he's ready, then you play him. I think you take Christensen out. Christensen had a woeful night at Stamford Bridge last week. Vinicius Junior had him on toast, and that's where Real looked the most threatening down that side. So Azpilicueta comes into the back three. Then you've got Reece James and Marcos Alonso as your wing backs. I'd bring Kovacic in instead of Jorginho, and I would take Pulisic out, and I would go with Timo Werner. Now, Werner is a bit slapstick at times, where he gets himself into these great positions. You saw him the other day, hit the post,
You're putting him
hit
in the
crossbar.
team? Really?
Yeah, I am, because the threat is there all the time.
But that's right, he's going to miss a sitter.
Or score 2.
Well, miss a sitter. Miss 4 sitters.
2.
Yeah, but
2 from 6. That's Andy Cole's strike rate. And look how good he was.
But do you know what? Even if he's missing chances, what that does to the opposition is it unnerves them, because you can't just say it's Timo Werner, he's going to miss, let him run through, he'll miss.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's a point, actually. You drop your guard at your peril against Werner the 5th or 6th time.
He keeps going as well. Like, in fairness to him, I have to commend him, because Tuchel said it himself, where I don't know what to say to him anymore. I can't keep saying, you know, keep going, the goals will come, because then he put him into the team and the goals didn't come. But they did come the other day, and the one that I felt so sorry for him was the Havertz one, where he ran around a load of players and then hit the post, and Havertz tapped it in, but you could see Werner was so frustrated, and Havertz came over and they embraced, but at the same time he was thinking,
it was brilliant
I should have scored.
Brilliant forward play inside of the post. He's just not looking.
Havertz is thinking, do I have to touch this player? I might catch something off him. That's what he's thinking. I might catch the yips.
Technically it was an assist, actually.
Well, does it count as an assist? I don't think it does. It's a miss. It's a miss. You hit the post, it's a miss.
Kanchelskis used to go through 1-on-1, and the keeper would purposely save his first shot so he had an easy rebound in. He'd hit it straight at the keeper, so it would come back to him. Easy tap in. Bonus if it went in first time. That's what happened. That's what Werner was thinking.
In fairness, I thought his first goal was excellent. He runs through and has the composure to take it around.
Look, he was 45. He was 45 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, he had an amazing season. I'm saying that there's obviously something there, but it's just that there's that strain of strikers at Chelsea that catch whatever the disease is, and it's Chelsea-itis, and they're just no good anymore.
Oh yeah, there's a segment on their failed number 9s in the Abramovich era.
Yeah, but let's go back to one of those, right?
Go on.
The greatest moment in Fernando Torres' history as a Chelsea player
was in
Spain, when they were down, the chips were down, and maybe Timo Werner does that at the Bernabeu tonight. But I think Chelsea have to score first, and then we'll see. And do you know what? Werner might just give them a bit of extra energy. I know Pulisic is quick, but he just couldn't get into the game last week. So I'm not completely writing them off. As I said, I was baffled by what happened last week, because I did not expect such an open game. It went against everything Chelsea did so well last season to win the Champions League, where sometimes the games weren't great to watch, but they were effective.
This was the complete opposite of that, where they were standing off, they weren't closing down. The three defenders looked like it was the first time they were playing three at the back. It was like, are you not all supposed to know exactly where each other is? Because it definitely looked like they weren't even speaking to each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what, on their opponents tonight, Real Madrid, do you think Carlo Ancelotti is incredibly underrated as a manager in the grand scheme of Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola? He's about to win the league with Real Madrid, which will mean he'll have won the league, all 5 big leagues. Yeah. And he's won the Champions League the most times, 3, with the most different clubs, 2. And no one gives people just talk about his eyebrow and how he's a pretty cool character, and that's kind of it, and he just lets players play.
He did lose a Champions League final from 3-0 up.
But he also won 2 other Champions League finals with the same team.
I mean, they were the best team in Europe by a mile. Do you think
Ancelotti, do you think he stands in a fair position overall?
I think when he retires from management, he will go down as one of the great managers of this era. Now, he doesn't have, he's not as transformative in terms of the way he plays as the likes of Guardiola or Klopp, but as you said, everywhere he goes, he tastes
doing something.
Success.
Yeah.
And you can see why Everton were so excited when they got him. Now, the second half of last season wasn't very good for him, and the fact that's why it was such a surprise that he went back in at Real Madrid. But yeah, he's about to win the league with them. I wonder what it means for next season. Does he stay on? And that'll be the real test, where Barcelona have got their act together. And that will definitely be a sterner test for them. And obviously that midfield trio, especially Kroos and Modric, which we imagine Modric will sign a contract, then it'll be another year. So how good will Real Madrid be next season. But no, I think as well he can be very good in one-off games tactically.
Yeah.
Now when he was in charge of Napoli, he certainly knew how to play and just kind of get under the skin of Liverpool when they played them in the Champions League. Now, in the end, Liverpool prevailed and they got through that group and the season that they went on to win it. But no, I think he's a really good
Which
coach.
side of the draw are they on? They're on this side of the draw, right? Tonight's the same side of the draw.
No, it's the winner of Real and Chelsea play City or Atletico.
Okay.
And I think when
Tricky.
the draw was made, a lot of us felt we were looking at an all-Premier League semi-final.
I don't think so now.
I thought Real Madrid were having a very stereotypical Champions League winning Real Madrid season where they're kind of crap in the league for ages. The rest of the league was also crap this season, and then they found a bit of form. Vinicius stopped missing. Like Benzema's just been sensational, and Modric and Kroos, and you're like, okay. And I think Alaba settled in. I think he was just slow to settle for whatever reason, but he's absolutely sensational. I'm really surprised Chelsea didn't make more of a bid, or Manchester United didn't make more of an opportunity, take more of a chance to try and get Alaba. When it was clear he was free last January, or wasn't going to sign, there was never any hint of any of the teams.
I think his dream was Madrid.
Yeah.
I think he was always
Still have that pull, and we'll see Barcelona still have that pull as well.
Everybody has that pull until you offer them an extra $100,000 a week. Do you know, like, he would have been worth it.
Yeah, but maybe they offered him a pretty decent contract and he wanted to go anyway. But you see, look, they don't have the greatest squad that they've ever had on paper, certainly in the last decade. And look at what he's doing with them, Ancelotti. Very consistent in the league, doing very well in the Champions League, unless they have a capitulation tonight, which I don't think they will. I think he's actually a victim of his own laid-back demeanour, that he's not rated a bit more highly. I know at Bayern Munich there was complaints that his training sessions weren't the most intense, and then Arjen Robben have to organise secret training sessions because his wasn't intense enough. But he got results with them.
The underrated coach, where your own players are coming out and saying this.
He
guy's
doesn't
not
have
that good.
actually coaching them, right?
So underrated in what way here? He's about right.
Look at his Wikipedia.
He's rated about right.
You have to scroll. I'd say you have to do a good 3 or 4 index finger scroll on a desktop to go through his list of honours.
Yeah, and he wasn't a bad player either.
No, he wasn't a bad player. But like, he's not in the same bracket as Klopp.
I wouldn't say he was, but I'm saying, I think he's still a little underrated based on his achievements. Brian Clough wasn't a great coach. It was his management style.
No.
Got Nottingham Forest amazing success and Derby.
Yeah, okay. All right.
What about Leeds?
You're not buying it, it's fine. Huh?
What about Leeds?
Well, that's his Everton for Ancelotti. Everyone has one.
Okay, so your prediction is Real Madrid are going to go through.
Yeah, but I'm not counting Chelsea out just yet.
I'm looking forward to seeing Real Madrid against Manchester City.
You think their City are just going to turn up tomorrow?
I really don't.
I wonder how much Sunday took out of them. Whereas Atletico on a Saturday afternoon went to Mallorca, got beaten by the way against a team that were in the relegation zone, had a decent team out, but probably Atletico playing in, second or third gear. Whereas you got a flavour of towards the end of the first leg last week with some of the antics of the Atletico players, how fiery tomorrow's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be, obviously it's at the same time as Liverpool Benfica, but Liverpool are home and hose, so I think Atletico and City is the game to watch tomorrow. Certainly see how it starts. If Atletico score first, then we've got ourselves one hell of a game.
It's going to be an interesting game, I think, almost irrespective of what happens. And De Bruyne is playing football at a very, very high level. So he should just watch as much of De Bruyne playing when he's fit like this. When he's playing this well, you should watch him as often as you possibly can. But it does feel like they're cresting. My one concern would be their defence isn't very good. The central defence, and I don't know. I still think Kyle Walker has those mistakes in him. Okay, so the other thing that we just need to talk to you about is your fascination with the slow bicycle race. That is, but Bayern Munich going to go through almost irrespective, even though they're 1-0 down. They should have been 2-0 down, but that's a very Bayern thing to happen. Yeah,
I think again they started so quickly against Salzburg. I don't think Villarreal will capitulate like that. So it could be a slow burner for Bayern, but you'd imagine they should be able to edge it. And the fact that there's no away goal, so even if they conceded one, you still think that they'll have enough firepower to get the job done. But if not, I mean, Liverpool fans would be rubbing their hands at the thoughts of playing Villarreal in a semi-final. But I'd still be leaning towards Bayern, yeah.
Everton dealt Burnley a fatal blow by beating Manchester United at the weekend.
Yeah, I think what was so funny about Sean Dyche's interview last week after they beat Everton was him having the nerve to talk about Everton not knowing how to win a game, when Burnley have won the fewest games in the Premier League this season. And, you know, Everton and Leeds put the pressure on Burnley. Burnley going to a Norwich team who, look, they won, but Norwich are going down. And Burnley had moments towards the end of the first half where they were knocking on the door, but now I'm starting to think that that bottom three is going to stay as it was. And it was such a pivotal weekend for Everton and for Leeds. Leeds look like they're safe and they're defending better under Jesse Marsh. It's definitely not as entertaining, but the main thing is that they stay in the Premier League, and you feared the worst when they lost that game against Aston Villa. Whatever about, they lost to Leicester and they actually had chances in that game, but the way they conceded the goals against Villa at Elland Road, there was a real feeling that they're going to go under. And then they come back with the last gasp win against Norwich, but the Wolves win was the one. That was the turnaround where they came from 2-0 down, and just incredible win for them. So I think they're okay. Everton, I've always felt if they are going to stay up, it's their home form, and they showed exactly why on Saturday. One thing, the Everton fans haven't turned on the team because they know it's too important. They can't, like, they need these players to be feeling good. You know, they can do all the post-mortems at the end of the season and say, right, this has been an absolute mess, but let's address it now in the summer, and this is what has to be done for the start of next season in the Premier League. But we know how disastrous it would be for Everton if they got relegated. But I think that win and Burnley's loss means it should be okay. They do still have to play each other, though.
All right.
Or sorry, not play each other. They still, Everton and Watford still have to play a few of the teams. But
it's not totally done, but you would say that they're certainly favourites at this point.
I think so, yeah.
Phil, good stuff. Thanks very much for that. You can hear more from Phil on The Brief. You can subscribe to that wherever you get your podcasts. The best place is on the OTB Sports app.